I'll welcome her with a round, warm applause. Gonna talk a little bit about Chloe. She's a jazz vocalist and composer from New Hampshire. She was mentored by Sheila Jordan, and I studied with greats like Jason Moran and John McNeil. And in 2016, she was awarded an SMA Downbeat Award for Best Undergraduate Vocalist. She performed at the Panama Jazz Festival in 2017 with during our trip, and actually to the people with the New England Conservatory. She was before, and in 2018 this year we went to Amsterdam and she participated at the Van Gogh project with the Amsterdam Conservatorium. She's also, for next year, she will continue her work at Berkeley and specifically at the Global Jazz Institute as the recipient of one of the postgraduate fellowship at our institute. Please welcome Chloe.
Good afternoon and hello to all. Thank you everyone so much for being here to share in this experience with us. Today I'll be presenting my culminating experience project entitled Sketches of She. This project is a portrait of modern womanhood, a celebration of the female artist, and an interdisciplinary collaboration amongst some of the most talented women that I know. When I started this project, I had two main objectives. The first was to create a collaborative space that celebrates and fosters female artistry. The second was to create a body of music that focuses on themes of identity and is basically a portrait of modern womanhood. The themes of identity are growth, femininity, places of origin, and also the lineage of the women and female musicians who have come before us. I recorded 8 songs for this project, 5 originals and 3 arrangements of songs that I felt fit the theme and were important to me. While curating this music, I really tried to not only portray my own perspective, but also the perspective of my peers and also the legacy piece where acknowledging the people that have come before me. In keeping with this goal to foster female collaboration, I decided to record all of this music with an amazing all-female band, which featured Margot on piano, Jazz Kaiser on drums, Brittany Carlson on bass, Bailey Ergot on guitar, Kira Harmon on trombone, Milena Casada on flugelhorn, Alexander James on voice, and Farai Malik on voice. I was also interested in bringing in other disciplines to sort of really truly make it an interdisciplinary collaboration. And I decided to use a visual art component and also a dance component to complement the music that I had written and arranged. The artist who did the watercolors for the project is named Katja Bradoncic. She actually comes to the Global Forums on occasion. And she came to the studio and sat in the room with us and with headphones and painted during the entire session based on what she was hearing as we were recording. I also worked with a videographer and several dancers to create movement to the music and create a visual aspect of the whole project. The first song I'm going to present of this project is entitled Ascent, and this is essentially the overture of the project. Symbolizes opening, the day breaking, and its sister piece, Descent, is essentially the recapitulation of the project. So Ascent comes first and Descent is at the very end. I wrote this song envisioning the chilly mornings where I grew up with the mist rolling over the mountains, and I hope you enjoy. So the images that you just saw, including the rest of the images from the video portion of this project, were all filmed up in New Hampshire a couple weekends ago as we were working on the project. The next song I'm going to present is The Mountain, which is an original of mine. I based the concept on of the song on the 3 folkloric moon phases of a woman's life. In many cultures, the goddess of the moon has 3 forms, and that would be the maiden, which represents the waxing moon, the mother, which represents the full moon, and the crone, which represents the waning moon. This painting is also a painting that Katja did as she was listening to the music in the studio. I based the timeline of that concept on the concept for my lyrics. So the first verse is representative of innocence and freedom and of the sort of the maiden form. The second verse is the advent of hard times and struggles and sort of the growth that occurs when you enter the realities of the real world. And the third verse is sort of transcending those things and finding the peace and wisdom associated with the crone. In keeping with the folk traditions of the area where I grew up, I decided to keep the melody very simple and kind of stagnant and repetitive. And I created interest by changing the harmony to reflect the shifting timeline and the meanings of the lyrics. So you'll notice in measure 11, where it says, "To the place where my spirit is free," I chose rather warm, open harmony there to reflect those lyrics. Similarly, in the next verse, where I say, "And my body lay broken on earth," I chose a more chromatic, crunchy harmony to reflect those lyrics. You'll also hear an interlude in the next recording, which also reflects these phases. There's an initial musical statement that is then grown upon, leading to a release in the last 4 bars.
When I walked up the mountain to the place where my spirit is free, and I left all my worries behind me, like the wind as it sings through the trees. I watched myself fall from your heavens, and my body lay broken on earth, and I drowned in the pools of my sorrows, till I found that long road headed north. La da 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 da, la da, I look at my sisters beside me, and I know every pain they have seen. But those mornings I go up the mountain, I walk in the footsteps and shadows of the women who came before me. La da 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 da, la da da da.
Thank you very much. The next song I'll be presenting is Osceola. So growing up, I spent a lot of my summers climbing and hiking around the White Mountains with my family. And when I was about 14, my dad gave me a book of all 48 mountains in the area over 4,000 feet. And we slowly worked our way into that. And one of the most memorable hikes from that was Mount Osceola. So this is the visual interpretation that Katja made. So the song the way I composed this was inspired by the idea of climbing, both physically and metaphorically. Essentially realizing that you've reached a peak and thinking that it's a place to stay, and upon reaching that peak, realizing that only now can you see the next peak. So sort of that endless climbing that we all experience in life. The intro was written about sort of the earliest moments of the morning when you first arrive at the base of the mountain. There's nobody else in the parking lot. It's still chilly and misty and dewy. I represented this, sort of the mountain sleeping, with this drone in the base with a moving melodic line in the flugelhorn, as you'll hear. The melody of the two A sections mimic sort of what I was talking about with climbing, and mimic that concept of climbing. The measure of 5/4 and the extended high note in measure 15 is sort of a false arrival, which then pushes onward to reach the highest melodic peak, which is actually in the second ending. And in the arrangement that we did, that's what we end on, solidifying that that's an arrival point. So I'm going to project this painting that Katja did, also of Osceola, while I play the song. Thank you very much. The next song is one of the songs that I just really loved and felt would be appropriate for the project. Bird Alone was written by Abby Lincoln, who's an amazing vocalist that I'm sure many of you know, and paved the way for many female artists in the genre. The plaintive lyrics of this really hit me hard, and I felt that they sort of capture this beautiful symbiosis between loneliness, longing, and freedom, which I feel is representative of many of the emotions that I know myself and many of my female friends deal with. I'm going to play a quick recording of the original, just so you can have a reference point.
Bird alone, flying high, flying through a clouded sky, sending mournful, soulful sounds.
I also planned to sort of give a nod to my longtime mentor, Sheila Jordan, who uses a lot of reduced rhythm sections in her music, especially with this song. And when I considered doing this song, I really felt like it was important to include her lineage in that, since she's been such a big influence on me. So here's my version of Bird Alone.
Bird alone, flying high, flying through a clouded sky, sending mournful, soulful sounds, soaring over troubled grounds. Bird alone with no mate, turning course, tempting fate, flying circles in the air. Are you on your way somewhere? Gliding, soaring on the wind. You're a sight of glory, flying way up there so high. Wonder what's your story.
Thank you. The next song I'll present is Cactus Tree, which is a Joni Mitchell song. Growing up in New Hampshire, Joni Mitchell was always a big influence of mine, being played around the house. And I love this song especially because it tells the story of these various men writing to this one woman who is too busy being free. I'm going to play a quick clip of this so you can also hear a reference.
There's a man who's been out sailing in a decade full of dreams, and he takes her to a schooner and he treats her like a queen, bearing beads from California with their amber stones and green. He has called her from the harbor, he has kissed her with his freedom, he has heard her off to starboard in the breaking and the breathing of the water.
So I really wanted to pay homage to this recording because it's one of my favorites, while also reinterpreting it. So I retained the double harmony that comes later in this recording and is present throughout. I kept that, and you'll hear that in a second. But I also reharmonized it a little bit. The original focuses mainly on variations of G, C, D7, and A minor 7. And I wanted to include some darker inflections to really capture some of the depth of the lyrics that she presents. This is the beautiful painting that Katja created while we were recording this song. And here is the video of Cactus Tree.
There's a man who's climbed a mountain, and he's calling out her name, and he hopes her heart can hear him. 3,000 miles he calls again. He can think her there beside him, he can miss her just the same. He has missed her in the forest while he showed her all the flowers, and the branches sang the chorus as he climbed the scaly towers of a forest tree, while she was somewhere being free. There's a lady in the city, and she thinks she loves them all. There's the one who's thinking of her, there's the one who's figures scrawl. She has brought them to her senses. They have laughed inside her laughter. Now she rallies her defenses, for she fears that one will ask her for eternity. And she is so busy being free.
Thank you very much. The final song that I'll be presenting today is also the final song of my project, and this is the sister song to Ascent, and essentially serves as a recapitulation. This song represents closure, the sunset, the day ending, and I added a moving bass line, voices, horns, and other arrangement pieces to sort of create this recapitulation. I also am going to play this one while looking at the painting so that you can experience what it was like to sort of be in the studio and hear the music and be viewing the work. Thank you very much. Moving forward, as Marco mentioned, I'll be at the Institute again next year as a fellow, so I'm looking forward to continuing this project. I plan to create and perform a benefit concert for WISE, which is an organization that supports women in domestic abuse situations or women who have been sexually assaulted. And I feel like that's an important piece of tying this all together. It's not just about celebrating women, but also protecting them and speaking for them when they can't speak for themselves sometimes. I'm also planning to create an online platform where young women interested in jazz can find all kinds of content, information, interviews, videos, cool new recordings, and also connect with mentors. This is going to have two different pieces. First, a journalistic piece, sort of an academic piece, where I'm going to post interviews that I've conducted with some amazing top-level women in the industry currently, and also provide just sort of fun content, information about colleges and education and summer programs, and also, you know, the ability to connect and work with mentors, older women who are willing to mentor these young women. This is a picture of the amazing band in Shames on the 31st. a good 17 women and Bruno. We think it may have been the most women in Shames, but we're not sure, so. And last but not least, thank you to everyone who's been involved in this. Thank you to Bruno and Janine for being an amazing advising and producing team. You guys guided me so much. Leanne and her whole team for incredible engineering. Katja, Jake, and all of the dancers involved for their piece in the collaboration of the visual portion. The entire band, who I mentioned earlier, was incredible and really brought the music to life. Thank you to Danilo and Marco for the opportunity to create this and the opportunity to be here this year. It was truly amazing. Thanks to all of my friends, teachers, and everybody else at the BJJI. It's an incredible community, and I've been blessed to be a part of it. And finally, not least, thanks to my parents and family and friends for their continued love and support. And a quick shout out to my little sister who's in the audience, who was in flying. You saw her flying at Bertalone. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoyed.
Wow, Chloe Brisson. Wonderful. Woo. Thank you. Very beautiful. Amazing. Janine, would you like to start?
So Chloe, I really, when you first came to me with the project and you talked about your vision, I didn't yet have an idea of how deep it was going to end up being. The combination of the visuals, your very specific curated playlist, both original and the songs that you brought in, I think really came together in the way that you had envisioned way back in the fall.
Thank you.
And that's really a testament to your artistry and to your ability to bring stuff together. So,
Thank you.
and adding this visual component, I think, is really powerful. So keep at it.
Thank you so much,
I love the
Janine.
vision. Yeah.
Thank you for your help.
Actually, can you talk a little bit more about that part?
About the visual part?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a friend who's a videographer who I grew up with in that area, we went up and shot for 2 days and got all of these different shots with dancers, and then also just general shots of the area and the mountains to sort of represent that area and bring the listener and the viewer into feeling like they're there. So when this is over, I'm going to post a full-length video, which is essentially a short film to accompany all of the music. And then also put up a folder with all of the visual art so that you can view that at the same time if you'd like. But the visual will essentially, for each one of the 8 songs, there's going to be a specific visual point piece that will then flow into the next song and the next visual piece. So when you sit down and watch it, it'll be about a 30-minute short film music project.
And the work of Katja is extraordinary.
Extraordinary. She was unbelievable.
Yeah. Can you tell a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so I had met her at the Global Forums and just loved her work and loved the fact that she was really interested in painting in the moment and painting what was happening. And so I asked her to come to the session, and she came and actually set up her table in the main room with us and put on her headphones and painted for 4 or 5 hours throughout the entire thing, and just created some beautiful, beautiful work. And I had mentioned to her, what the project was about and what the goals were, but I hadn't told her, didn't give her any direction on what I wanted her to paint. And about halfway through the session, I walked over and saw what she was working on and was just floored, because most of the paintings she painted look exactly like the place where I grew up and the place that this music is inspired from. And I was just so pleased that that had come through and that she had been able to receive that and then put it visually on paper.
And congratulations to you to put everything together.
Thank
with
you.
Music. Really beautiful.
Thank you.
Chloe, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know where to begin. I feel like I've been with this project since
From the beginning.
From the very beginning, from the very first motif correct me if I'm wrong, that was written for the class last fall. And if I remember right, you said, I don't have anything written for today. And said, you didn't write anything? Well, it's just a stupid little thing, you know. Yeah, well, I want to hear it. No, it's just a triad. Well, you know, triad can be good. So, and that was the main motive for the beginning and ending. And,
It was.
And I said, that triad, the way you sing it, the way you present it, that's you. You know, continue, start there.
Yeah.
It's just overwhelming, everything you put together here. And I'd like to maybe go back to the central point, which is your voice, which is tremendous.
Thank you.
It carries the personal and the universal in it. I feel it's connecting everywhere. And there's no, you know, to sing that song after Joni Mitchell and sound just as deep and good as Joni Mitchell.
Thank
That's
you.
quite a feat. Yeah, every week was a new trip. You come in and say, oh, there's going to be drones, and videos, and dance, and so okay, airplanes, you know. And
You were right along on the ride with me.
oh well, I try to hang in there, you know. But you pull it all together. Fascinating, such a complete, deep presentation. I don't know, it's just fantastic.
Thank you.
I've got a quick question. Just,
Yeah.
when you're reflecting back, can you touch on some points that you felt that you learned during this process, this whole year? I'm sure.
Absolutely. First, one of the main things I learned was how to organize a lot of people, pull a lot of things together. But I really, in the process of writing this music, I got a composition notebook and really wrote all of my stuff in there, my poetry, my spoken word, the lyrics I was working on, the music I was working on. And through having it all together, I began to discover parts of my identity and parts of things that I wanted to express in this music that I hadn't necessarily focused on before. And I think something about having all that material together in one place that I was sort of carrying along with me as I went about my life helped me to figure out how to translate experiences that I and my female friends and the women in my life experience into something that can be received in that way. And for a while, I was unsure about how to do that. But with your guidance, and also I think there was something powerful about just keeping it all together. I was working on it every day. And I think it had allowed me to sort of go deeper into certain things and explore certain things because it was all right there and very tangible. You know, it was, you know, writing lyrics and scribbling them out and then writing a new one and finding synonyms. And I think that sort of taught me about composing on a deeper level, connecting my thought and my the things that I wanted to do with this music to the actual music. So.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks again.
Chloe, fantastic.
Thank you.
You know, one of the things, as I'm hearing this, one of the things I hear, close my eyes, listen to the music, there's a lot of fragility, a lot of mountain, there's a lot of leaf. It's nice and beautiful that you're able to connect the music, the images with all the stuff that you care for. And seeing you growing throughout the years, it's fascinating to me. You know, as I'm listening to that, I was looking at sketches of She. I started thinking about all the titles. Castle in the Woods. Serenading the Mountains.
Yeah.
There's a potential here for developing a new type of venues, which I saw a couple times. Like, there was a very, like the mountain became the performing arts center. So I would, as we are talking about how beautiful the music is, I'm also thinking about how we can put this out there that you can communicate. And I would encourage you to do a research about festivals who are eco-friendly,
Okay.
or wants to go that direction. And another thing that I would actually recommend, that I was left out a little bit, having so many powerful women musicians being a part of this. I would have liked to hear a little more of that connection in how relevant that is in the world right now, the 21st century.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
but you know, it's a fantastic. There's so many possibilities, so many directions you can take this, and it's a new line. I really believe I've heard him work today that has so much potential. So thank you.
Thank you. Left terrace, I think.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Beautiful music, wonderful, deep music. I'm going to take it from where Danilo left off. And I'm just going to share the first feeling I had upon hearing this music, the first time when we had our meeting last week. And it was that strong sense that the feminine spirit, I'm not talking about female or male, but the feminine spirit is something that we need these times. We need it in arts, we need it in education, we need it in politics, we need it in our life in general. And thank you so much for reminding me that.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Well, a lot has already been said, but one more time, congratulations.
Thank you.
And what I walk away with is, well, three things. You gave me a sense of place. You gave me a sense of community. And I guess, you know, beyond those things, you gave me a sense of you.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Chloe. Very evocative music, very inspiring, and congratulations on the vision, on putting everything together again. I think that was very surprising to see it all together and be so beautiful.
Thank you.
Chloe Brisson. Thank you.